Alabama football may be on a little break right now, but we're still giving it to you fresh off the dome. #1 show here, #1 ticket, #1 form of Crimson Tide football entertainment. That being in my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, touchdown, Alabama Magazine. Welcome in to tonight on a Wednesday hump day, giving you the action right here, bringing you the show from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming this to you on YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, drop that thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't done so already, get your friends to subscribe as well. Turn all of those notifications on, hit that little bell so that way you can have all of your alerts, all of your information, all the things that you crave from your program. That being Alabama football. We also got you covered here on Facebook and Twitter as well, streaming to you the show. Got a lot to discuss on today. Heisman Trophy presentation is on Saturday night. And though one Will Anderson was not invited as a Heisman finalist, I digress. Still a big event here. Heisman Trophy presentation. Bryce Young, sophomore quarterback, will be representing the University of Alabama. Got my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, coming on tonight to talk the early signing period coming up next week, December 15th, and the guys and the recruits that Alabama's coaching staff is visiting, trying to see how many guys can sign in this early signing period. So it'll be fun to talk with Justin there. We're gonna also get into kind of the next guys up at the wide receiver position for Alabama. So many Bama fans have been asking me, Steven, with John Metchie out, with Metchie down, he was a leader, big play guy, quality wide receiver, somebody of whom Bryce Young has so much confidence and chemistry with. Can Alabama still win a national championship without John Metchie on the field? And I'll get into that also, as I think these next guys up, these young guys that have been chomping at the bit for this opportunity, can get this job done here. As always, we want you guys blowing the phone lines up with your passion, your calls, your details, what you want to talk about. You can do this by calling 205-448-1358. Number to call in to let your voice be heard, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. Daily Super Chat Go, $75. Daily Super Chat Go right there. Appreciate the love coming from you guys. But we're getting into our first topic here of conversation. And John, Saturday is the Heisman Memorial Trophy presentation from New York City. A big event, a big moment, a big opportunity to see who becomes the newest member, the latest member of the prestigious Heisman fraternity, who gets that coveted bronze award, whose name will be forever followed with the statement Heisman Trophy winner. Big weekend here in college football. And for Bryce Young, for Alabama sophomore quarterback Bryce Young, he looks to become the first player, the first quarterback in the history of Alabama football to carry this trophy home. Alabama has had so many great quarterbacks in its tenure. When you look at Pat Trammell, Bart Starr, Joe Namath, Kenny Stabler, Walter Lewis, Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones, Andrew Zhao, just so many phenomenal quarterbacks have come to this program. None have won the Heisman. Some have been finalists for the Heisman, but none have won this particular trophy. So Bryce Young eyes the opportunity to make the program very, very proud, very excited here and bringing this thing back to the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. But he's got some competition here, as the finalists have been set for New York. Your four finalists, or your three finalists joining Bryce Young. You have C.J. Stroud, the quarterback of Ohio State. You have Kenny Pickett, the quarterback for Pittsburgh. And you have Aiden Hutchinson, the defensive end from Michigan. So those are your finalists right there for the Heisman Memorial Trophy presentation. But in terms of Alabama football, in terms of you, the Crimson Tide fan base, there are three big pieces of significance here. Bryce Young wins this trophy. Three monumental things happen for the program. Three monumental things happen for you, the fans. So we're going to get into these three. Number one, the first monumental thing to happen, Alabama becomes quarterback U in recruiting. This is a big deal. Bryce Young takes home his Heisman. Crimson Tide becomes quarterback U in recruiting, and I'm going to explain this right now. So in the Nick Saban era here, he's always been known for, if you want to be a running back, you go to Alabama, right? Coach Saban's got him, whether it was Mark Ingram, Trent Richardson, Eddie Lacy, T.J. Yeldon, Derrick Henry, Kenyon Drake, Damian Harris, Najee Harris, Josh Jacobs. If you want to be a running back, you go to Alabama. They got him. You want to be a wide receiver? You go to Alabama. Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Devonta Smith. You want to be a wide receiver? Jalen Waddle. They got him at Alabama. You want to be an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman? Alabama pops them boys out. You want to be a linebacker? You want to be a defensive back? You go to Alabama. Prior to Jalen Hurts coming into the program, and even more so, Blake Sims, because Blake Sims kind of started this, people did not look at Alabama. People did not look at Nick Saban as somebody that could pop out quarterbacks, or not even pop out quarterbacks. People didn't look at Alabama as a program that gets big play, marquee guys at the quarterback position. And when Jalen Hurts came to the program, it kind of started that. And then Tua Tagovailoa came to the program, and he built off of that, and he added his own spin to it, and he grew it. And then Mac Jones comes through, and he does some things that people did not think he would be able to do. But here comes Bryce Young, right? And I mentioned this before. A.J. McCarron, Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones were all Heisman finalists, much like Bryce Young is here. Bryce Young carries home his trophy. Now you look at, well, Bama produces quarterbacks too. Well, Bama's got quarterbacks too. Well, Nick Saban grooms quarterbacks too. And now it becomes, as opposed to these guys going to the Oklahomas, these guys going to the Big 12 programs, the Pac-12 programs, now you're going to see these quarterbacks come to Alabama, these 4- and 5-star Elite 11 big play talented quarterbacks. Now they're going to come to Alabama. Why? They see Bryce Young winning the Heisman Trophy, and they can go, well, why do I need to go to an Oklahoma? Why do I need to go to a USC? Why do I need to go to a Pac-12 or a Big 12 or a Big 10 school where Nick Saban at Alabama, he's popping out Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks? Bryce Young won the Heisman. So, number one, Bama becomes quarterback U if Bryce Young carries this thing home here. Number two, this makes Nick Saban the ultimate renaissance man of college football. And here's why. So, Coach Saban, everything that people thought he couldn't do with the Crimson Tide, he has done. When he first got to Alabama in 2007, what did people tell him? It's going to take you 6 years to win your first national championship. Well, he won the first one in 3 years. And now he's got 6 national titles to his name with Alabama, chased after that 7th national championship. He's won several SEC titles. Then you look at, people thought, well, could he recruit well at Alabama? Saban's brought in several top-ranked recruiting classes. And then people thought, okay, if we switch up recruiting a little bit and make it an early signing period and a traditional signing period, can he handle that? Coach Saban has shown he can handle that. 2020, brought in a great class. In 2021, the number one class, greatest class ever signed in on paper. Then people thought, well, if we take his coaches from him and he has to reboot and re-up coaches every year, can he do that? Coach Saban continues to restockpile coaches and have Alabama in the conversation for national championships. Then people go, okay, transfer portal then. He'll lose players. Well, even though Bama has lost players to the transfer portal, Bama has snatched players out of the portal that have been big-time weapons, big-time pluses, big-time jewels for Alabama. When you look at Jacob Coker, when you discuss Jamison Williams, Landon Dickerson, guys like Richard Mullaney, Garrett Dieter, Henry To'o, Saban's able to hightail into that portal and grab players out of there that benefit the Crimson Tide. So it doesn't matter what has been thrown at Coach Saban, he's always been able to handle it. He's always been able to master it. He's always been able to make it work for him in the betterment of the Alabama program. Now he pops out with a Heisman-winning quarterback. Then it becomes, what what is it that Saban cannot do? Because if he pops out with a Heisman-winning quarterback, then it becomes he would have 4 Heisman Trophy winners in his era at Alabama. 2009, Mark Ingram. 2015, Derrick Henry. 2020, Devontae Smith. And now it would be Bryce Young. So Saban would become the ultimate Renaissance man in terms of it doesn't matter what obstacle is put in front of him, he makes it work for the program, and then it broadens his legend, it heightens his legacy out even more, and then it becomes is there anything that could trip Saban up? Is there anything that Saban cannot do? He becomes even more bigger of the legend here in college football. And then last but not least here, what this does significantly for Alabama, for you the fans, you would get the ultimate wish, right? All you have wanted, all you've been crying out for, can Alabama have that Heisman Trophy winning quarterback? At the end of the day, you want national championships, and I get it. National championships important. Conference titles important. Getting that hardware is a big deal. But along with that, U.S. fans have been asking, it's great to win national championships. We do not refute that. It's great to win conference titles. We do not refute that. But at the end of the day, when can we get that Heisman Trophy winning quarterback to rub it in everybody's face? When can we get that Heisman Trophy winning quarterback to brag about? When can we get that Heisman Trophy winning quarterback that we can gloat on, that we can just really put our arms around, hug on him, love on him, and just be so happy that we, being at the Alabama football program, got one of these for us? Like, we've looked at it, we've seen the Oklahomas get Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks. We've seen USC with the Heisman Trophy winner in Matt Leinart. We've seen Texas A&M get one in Johnny Manziel. We've seen Auburn get one in Cam Newton. We've seen Baylor get one in Robert Griffin III. We've seen Florida State get one in Jameis Winston. We've seen so many different programs pop out with a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. But at Alabama, at Tuscaloosa, this is the place where legends are made. This is the place where national championships are won. This is the place where top-ranked recruiting classes are signed. This is the place where everybody that we pop out goes to the NFL and has absolute success. But the one question that's always been on the mind of you, the fan, is can this be the place where Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks are crowned? And this weekend, Bryce Young, I see an opportunity to bring you that as a fan. Bryce Young, I see the opportunity to get you that as a person that consumes Alabama football, that craves Alabama football, that this program is all that you know. So those three things, huge significance here this week. Bryce Young taking on the Heisman. Bama can become quarterback you in recruiting for college football. Bryce Young taking home the Heisman. It makes Coach Saban the Renaissance man of college football. And Bryce Young taking home the Heisman. This gives you, the Alabama football fan, what you have always wanted, that Heisman Trophy winning quarterback for your favorite program. So it's going to be fun to watch this, folks. It's going to be fun to watch it in New York City. When Bryce Young's name is called, it's going to be one of those seismic moments. Where were you when Bryce won the Heisman? Where were you when his name was called? What were you doing when that moment came across the screen? But we take a break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. We're just getting started. Upon our return, we get to your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your interactions. We talk to you, the Bama faithful, after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
I'm Malachi Moore. You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith on Touchdown Alabama YouTube channel.
9 players have teamed up and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
And we are back in, folks, from the break with number one forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate everybody for checking us out on today. Gotta shout out my brother 6-0, baby! 6-0 with that $40 donation in the Super Chats, helping us out here on the show. The daily Super Chat goal, $75 daily Super Chat goal. Appreciate the love from you guys. And before we go to the phone lines, take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. One more time, 205-448-1358. My man John Ivory, we got a voicemail from my man Young Sway Sway. Sway Sway forgot to call in last week, but he called in the voicemail. What did Young Sway Sway say, John?
Hey, what going on there, Young Sway from down the bay? Hey, where y'all at, man? Hey, the show supposed to be on. I supposed to call. I tried to call to get my bet for the Georgia game, man. Where everybody was at, man? Y'all put me on hold for too long. Man, that messed up, man. I lost all my money for that game, man. Y'all told me the bet line was on Georgia, bro. The bet line was on Georgia, bro. I was trying to call in, man. Why y'all did me like that, man? Y'all weren't supposed to do me like that, dude. Steven, pick up, dog. Hey, dog. Man, y'all got to move around, little bro. That messed up, man. I thought we were family, bro. Y'all there? Hello? All right, then.
I hate we miss Sway, man. I hate so bad, John. We miss Sway. I hate this. I really, the one time we were not there, Sway. Oh, I hate this so bad. But folks, we're gonna go to the phone lines now to grab your calls. So we got you back. So we got you back, Sway. 205-448-1358. Number to call in. We grab this call here. You're live on the show on a Wednesday. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name. Where you calling from?
Hey, Stephen. This is Michael from South Carolina.
Michael, what's happening, brother?
Good. Well, talk about this game coming up between Alabama and Cincinnati. And I want to talk about the wide receivers. Who do you think that's important, that really going to be the impact for this game without Metchie? I mean, you got guys like Sean Holden, Corey Brooks, JoJo Earl, Agiye Hall, Christian Leary, Ty Jones-Bell. Who do you think in particular could really step up and be an impact player for the game against Cincinnati?
I think in particular, I would look at Ja'Cory Brooks just in particular, just due to before Metchie got hurt, he talked about, Brooks, a bigger body at 6'2". Brooks, really good route runner, really big hands, just knows how to make those plays even as a freshman. And I've said this before, I kind of compare him to what Devontae Smith was as a freshman. Devontae Smith just knew how to make those big plays when they mattered. Ja'Cory Brooks kind of has that same thing to his element. Now, I think Alabama will rotate both Brooks and Trayshawn Holden at that X position, which is a spot that Metchie does play at. I can see some JoJo Earl in the action. I can see some Agiye Hall in there as well. I can see, a little bit of Christian Leary, though he's working as an emergency running back and a receiver. Could Javon Baker get in there? All of these things kind of depend on how these guys practice, especially next week prior to going home for the Christmas holidays. So, in particular, I would say Brooks, but it all depends on how these guys practice for Christmas break.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Michael from South Carolina. Appreciate that call from him. We take this call. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling tonight? State your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, Stephen, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Kind of lost that call there, unfortunately. We go to this call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name, where you're calling from.
Hey, Steven, this is Corey from Trustful. How are you doing tonight?
Corey, doing great, and yourself, man?
I'm doing great. Speaking of John Metchie, I know we hate to lose players, especially this time of year when we have playoffs coming up, but would you agree that we don't necessarily need to hit the panic button? Because even though, yes, John Metchie is an outstanding receiver, we have, like you said, we have plenty of other receivers that can stand up. Would you agree that we don't necessarily need to hit the panic button in any sort of way?
Absolutely not, Corey. I don't think this is a time for the panic button just due to the depth Alabama has at that position. Yes, John Metchie, that's a loss. It hurts because of his leadership, because of the chemistry that he and Bryce Young have. I get it. Metchie, a team-high 96 catches this year. He's a 1,000-yard guy. He's got 8 touchdowns. He has 4 100-yard games. He's playing some of his best ball, and you hate to see the young man go down like that against Georgia. But once again, this is why Alabama recruits the way it does at the wide receiver position. This is why you have a Slade Bolden, you have a Ja'Cory Brooks, you have a JoJo Earl, you have a Thiu Jones-Bell, you have a Trayshawn Holden, you have a Javon Baker. You have guys that, when called upon, can step up, can make plays, and fill that void and cushion that blow as much as possible. So definitely not a reason to panic.
Can I ask another question real quick?
Go ahead.
In the event we most likely get past Cincinnati, would you, as a fan, more likely face an angry Georgia that wants revenge versus Alabama, or a Michigan that has an Aiden Hutchinson and I can't remember the other guy's name, but another great pass rusher and a balanced attack in Michigan? Which would you rather face? And I'm not saying I'm overlooking Cincinnati. I'm just saying if we get past Cincinnati, which would you rather face, an angry Georgia or a Michigan?
If Alabama gets past Cincinnati, which I think it will, Corey, it doesn't, to me, it really don't matter. Either or, it don't matter. I will take Georgia again, because until Kirby Smart proves he can beat Nick Saban, Saban still has Kirby under his thumb at this point to an extent. And then even with Michigan, I know fans would like to see Bama face Jim Harbaugh, face the Wolverines. To me, it don't matter. Bring on either or. But I appreciate Corey from Trustful for that call right there. We continue with calls on the show. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Steven. It's Robert from Mobile.
Robert, what's happening, brother?
Hey, before Saban got there, Alabama didn't have a Heisman Trophy winner at all. The Heisman Trophy winner in Alabama just didn't happen. And now this will be his 4th since he's been there, and two back to back with the first quarterback. And you're right, Bryce Young winning the Heisman. Well, with all of them winning the Heisman, it feels like Alabama fans are winning. That's the kind of joy we feel whenever one of our guys win or do well in the NFL or anything. It feels like a family, and it's just another testament to the career and legacy of Nick Saban and where he's taken the program. Everybody thought Bear Bryant had it to great heights. Nick Saban's taken it well beyond that, beyond even Bear Bryant, which was just amazing. And it's just another one of the many things Nick Saban has done for the University of Alabama to take it to just unsurpassed greatness. And again, Bryce Young, he's going to be a great representative for Alabama and for the Heisman Committee. It's going to be just a joy to watch him win it, because, like you said, we're going to be celebrating almost as much as he is. Again, because it's another first for Alabama, and it's just another testament to what Nick Saban has done for not just for the university, but for the players and for the lives of the individual players. And the guy's just been remarkable for the school. So it's going to be really great to watch. I sure hate Will Anderson got caught up in the politics of, not being invited, as, with Alabama fatigue, and he's, going to win other trophies as a defender. So it's just unfortunate he's got caught up in the politics of not being invited to New York over a guy he has better stats than, everything's better. Well, we know how it is. It's political. The Alabama guy's going to win it, so you can't have in the Alabama fatigue. You're just going to have two Alabama players show up there, which is unfortunate because Will Anderson deserved to at least be invited and recognized in that capacity. But again, it'll be just great watching Bryce win it and take it home for the university.
Absolutely. Appreciate Robert from Mobile, those thoughts there on the show. It's going to be fun to watch Bryce win that because I've mentioned this also. Tua Tagovailoa and Mac Jones, they had more to work with than Bryce. And to see Bryce do more with less in all facets, and despite the inconsistencies that the team has had at times, to see Bryce keep this thing afloat, just very proud of what that young man has done all year. And Coach Keith Miller said it. Coach Keith Miller said it on the show. Bill O'Brien, get out the way. Let Bryce Young run this offense. And, boy, Coach Miller hit it dead on the head there when you look at Young at quarterback. We grab this call here. You're live on the show tonight. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
This is Kyron from Albuquerque. That's Kyran. How you doing?
Doing great, and yourself, man?
Doing pretty good. Listen, so now that we have this little break until the playoffs starting to think about some of the things that are going to happen in the offseason. My question is, what do you think is going to happen to Paul Tyson? Do you think he'll stay, due to the legacy? Do you think he'll maybe go elsewhere and try to carve his own path, with Bryce Young winning the Heisman and being a sophomore? It doesn't look like he's going to be playing much anytime soon. So what do you think is going to happen, especially since it looks like he's been relieved of his holding duties? Do you think he stays and sticks with it like Mac Jones, or do you think he goes somewhere else and carves his own path? And I would imagine that if he were to be playing anywhere else in the country right now, he'd probably be starting. What do you think?
That's going to be one of the big questions of the offseason. It's going to be interesting to see what does Paul do. I know, him growing up in Alabama, born into what this program is, what this culture is, what this atmosphere is. I don't see him leaving. I don't see him going. But then at the same time, really honestly don't know. So that will be one of the most interesting things this offseason to look at. What does Paul Tyson do? Does he continue? Because he's a smart guy, hard-nosed, tough guy, wants to be out there, wants to play. So that'll be something to definitely look at. Appreciate that call right there coming into the show. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, Steven, this is Justin from Ohio.
Justin, what's happening, man?
Yeah, I just was wondering, and I know other people have asked the same question before, and nobody has the answer, but is Trey Sanders a total bust as a five-star recruit?
No, I don't think he's a total bust as a five-star recruit. I just think unfortunate situations happen with him. You can't say injuries make you a bust. I mean, this was a guy that's a freshman. He was going to take carries from Najee Harris and Brian Robinson. Just unfortunately, 2 weeks before the first game of the season in 2019, he pops his foot and his foot gets injured and he's out for the year. You can't control that. That just happened. And then, of course, last season, he was starting to really get it going with a great game against Mississippi State, and then he ends up in a bad car accident that has him, in a wheelchair. So he had to fight to get back to where he is at this point. So definitely not a bust. I wouldn't dare say that. It's just unfortunate circumstances for Trey. But the fighter that he is, the warrior that he is, you got to applaud that man's toughness for even coming back and putting himself in a chance to play.
Oh, I agree. I just wanted to finish this up with one more question. If next year, because next year he'll be I believe a redshirt junior, if he doesn't put up good numbers next year, would you call him a bust if he doesn't put up good numbers next year?
That's tough right there. I mean, you could, but that would be hard to tell, just due to how many running backs Saban recruits at the university. When you got Jace McClellan with you, when you got Roydell Williams with you, when you got Kamar Wheaton in here also. So that'll be hard to tell. Put a pin in that one because I definitely want to revisit that one. Put a pin in that one. Appreciate that call right there from Josh out of Ohio. We take this call here. Just out of Ohio. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Yo, Steve, what's good, man?
What's happening with you?
Steve, not much, man. Hey, quick question, brother. How about that Tide, though, man? You see these boys out here on the recruiting trail locking it in?
I see it, man. I see it, man. Coach Saban trying to get him another number one class in here.
Man, and I wanted to reply to the previous caller about Trey Sanders. If you think Trey Sanders is a bust, you must didn't watch that NCC championship game. Trey Sanders made some key runs that kept momentum on two very big scoring drives. We had already scored on 2 drives, and when Trey Sanders came in, the offense, honestly, the run game opened up after Trey Sanders exposed a couple of holes. And Brian Robinson not being 100%, Trey Sanders did more than what he was expected to do. And even when he got the wind knocked out of him, you know, that play when he got the wind knocked out of him, he got up and walked off the field. You know, he was hurt, but bruh, Trey Sanders is not a bust by any means. Like you said, Steven, unfortunate events is what caused this man to be behind the power curve. But Trey was set to take carries from Najee Harris. You know, B-Rob was going to be number 3 back. Roy Dale
was going to be an afterthought.
They exactly. And so I think next year it all falls on his off-season work, which I don't think he's going to have issue with. And I think the way Saban coaches, and, you know, we've been watching Saban since he's got to Bama. He's big on loyalty, especially when you put in the work. And if you have something to offer that you could continue to build on, just like B-Rob before the season never showed that he was going to be like this great back. We knew he was going to be solid. Everybody knew he was going to be solid. He worked hard. He was disciplined. But B-Rob has been big for Bama this year. With the struggles that our offensive line has had and just his ability to grow and pass pro, B-Rob has been great. And that pays off for guys like Trey Sanders. Trey Sanders sees that. He was like, man, B-Rob been here. He could tough it out. I could tough it out. B-Rob is going high second round, mid second round after not being, you know, drafted to go in. I mean, graded to go that high in the draft, you know, for previous years. So I think the message in the locker room and in the program throughout the university is still there. You know, trust the process. And Trey Sanders has bought into that, just like a lot of guys. I think Paul Tyson stays. Paul Tyson has a lot to learn. He gets out there and he looks like a deer in headlights. If he goes somewhere else with that same, he's going to have the same type of success. Blake Barnett and the rest of those guys that came into Alabama that thought they was going to take over and had to leave because they didn't trust the process. They didn't take time to learn. But overall, Steven, I'm excited about the playoffs. I honestly see Cincinnati giving us a few problems early because, you know, they're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at us. But I feel like that defense is going to show up again. I think we make another statement. I think we're going to, Steven, I'm saying it now, Alabama's going to be national champs again this year. Only reason I feel like that, Steven, if you think back to 2009, that type of energy we had going into the SEC championship against Florida when everybody was counting Alabama out, you know, we were the trending team, this and the third. And you think about 2015, same type of energy when Jake Coker was the quarterback. Just the level of improvement that you see from week to week to end the season. You don't lose that momentum going into the playoff season, not against Cincinnati. And then I would love to see Georgia again. What is Georgia going to do? Are they going to put Brickfoot JT Daniels back there to stay away from our O-line? Are they going to have him doing the rollout passes that you're going to need to do to extend to make time because your receivers aren't creating space? So, I mean, and your O-line didn't look great either. And we're going to, you know, LeBron Race getting healthier every week. Dallas Turner getting healthy. Chris Allen might be back. This might be a crazy playoff, Steven. This might turn into like last year it was, you know, where it got to a point where it was like, okay, nobody's hanging with Bama again, you know, and I'm excited to see that. For all my real true fans, I appreciate y'all sticking it out. You know, Pete Golden, you held it down. You proved your boy right again. You know what I'm saying? But hey, Steven, great show tonight, man. I got to get back in here, bro. I got a class at 10, but you know I had to call in and check with my fam, man. Roll Tide. I love y'all, bro.
Appreciate Senator Hines, a.k.a. Coach Smoot, calling in, giving us love here on the show. I got to shout out Randy Harris with a $5 donation, helping us out here on In My Own Words. Big ups to Randy Harris, showing love As always, people, 205-448-1358, number to call in. Let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358, the number right there. We go to a quick topic right now, and that it would be on Sunday, Alabama had its annual awards banquet from the Sheraton Hotel here in Birmingham, and Alabama now has its 4 permanent captains heading into the college football playoff. These 4 young men will have their handprint and their cleat print enshrined at Denny Chimes as legends for this program. Those 4 young men we have here: Bryce Young at quarterback, Evan Neal at offensive tackle, Will Anderson at linebacker, and Fedarian Mathis on the defensive line. Kudos to those 4 young men and all they have done for the program. Bryce Young, Evan Neal, Will Anderson, Fedarian Mathis, permanent team captains, and it's crazy. 2 of these guys are sophomores. Team has been held up by 2 sophomores, 2 young guns. And Anderson and Young will be back next season. So outstanding to see these two and the 4 in all permanent team captains here for the Crimson Tide. We're going to take a break right now. Holders, if you're on the phone line, continue to hold here for the next 10 minutes. If not, definitely call back in the next 10 minutes. But we're going to take a break here on the show. When we get back, got my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, to set us up here the stage for the early signing period coming up next week. We'll talk to Justin after this.
You know what we do at the start of the 4th quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the 4th quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football 4th quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
We're back into the action here, folks, from the break of a number 1 forum, number 1 source, and ticket for your Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Happy to have everybody in here. We got over 300 people in the chat, but only 87 likes, baby. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Smash that like button. I know you guys can do it. Trying to get at least 200 likes here on the live show, but definitely hit that like button right now. Over 300 people in the chat. Appreciate the love there from all of you as we do what we do, which is giving you what you want, what you crave, and that's Alabama football. But we go to the phone lines right now because we got my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst, the boots on the ground, the legend in the flesh himself, to talk about Bama and this early signing period for the 2022 class. Justin, what's going on, brother?
Oh, not much, Steven. I guess I'm kind of like Saban now, headed home after a long couple of days at the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game this week.
Huge Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game on Justin Smith at that, scouting out, looking at some recruits there in that matchup. But, Justin, the first piece of big news came on yesterday. Crimson Tide got a major verbal commitment for for this class right here in the form of 4-star athlete Isaiah Bond, who earlier was committed to Florida, but with Dan Mullen being let go by the Gators, he decommits from Florida. I know it came down. I know it was Alabama, Florida, and Georgia heavy in his commitment, but Bond has given that verbal to Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide. What does his commitment mean? What does he bring the program? Set the stage here for Isaiah Bond right now.
Like you said, Bond, of course, verbally committed to Alabama over Georgia and Florida. It is, you can sort of say that this probably would have happened even if Dan Mullen was kept at the University of Florida, because the Crimson Tide have really liked Isaiah Bond for almost a year now since offering him. Ever since they offered him, they have stayed in constant contact with him, has shown him a lot of love when they got him on campus. I remember him posting that video on his Twitter of him being in the car with Nick Saban and Miss Cherry. So the Crimson Tide have always tried to build a great relationship with Isaiah Bond. When I talked with him in September, when I got a chance to see him and Jake Pope, who's also verbally committed to the Crimson Tide, play for Bruford earlier in the season, and he told me that he still had a special place in his heart for the Crimson Tide. He told me that their coaching staff was still recruiting him hard and he was still considering them, and he eventually decommitted from Florida after Dan Mullen was fired and after he took an unofficial visit to the University of Alabama as well. So the Crimson Tide pick up a verbal commitment from him. I think this is a huge get because he's another speedy prospect. The Crimson Tide continue to want to add speed all over their roster. This is the guy who holds a state championship in the 100-meter dash, the 200-meter dash, and he's also part of a 4x100-meter relay state championship team. He has a PR of 10.48 in the 100-meter dash, so he brings a lot of speed. I think the Crimson Tide are most likely going to try him out at the wide receiver position. I think that is a position that he likes to play. I think that is a position where his speed will show off a lot. I think with his size at 5'10", 175 pounds, I think most people are thinking slot wide receiver. But I think with his frame, he's a bit of a slimmer guy. He could play outside. He could play all over the field for the Crimson Tide. I look at guys like Kobe Prentice and Aaron Anderson as guys who are more slot guys in terms of this 2022 recruiting class. I don't think Isaiah Bond is really a slot wide receiver. He does play wide receiver because he can play defensive back at the next level as well. I think he's a guy who you can move all over your offense at the wide receiver position.
So, Justin, just sticking right here with Bond, because you brought something up here about the speed Alabama has at the wide receiver position. When you look at Jamison Williams' speed, Henry Ruggs' speed, Jalen Waddle's speed, Bama's been bringing a lot of speed guys at that positional unit, but also with that size, you brought up 5'10", 5'11", 175, 180 pounds. Could he also be, or could he serve as a DB, as a corner, because of his size, because of his speed, because of that frame? And I believe he played a little bit of DB also at Buford High School. Could you see Bond maybe even being a defensive back if Alabama was to go that route with him?
Yeah, he most definitely can be a defensive back easily. He's a technical defensive back. He plays, like you said, he plays defensive back and wide receiver for Buford High School. I actually thought when the Crimson Tide first offered him that they were looking at him more so as a defensive back, but I think he has expressed interest in playing more so at the wide receiver position. But they have also kept the door open with him as well, saying, hey, we might want you to play wide receiver, we might want you to play defensive back. So I think he could be a defensive back at the next level as well. I think he fits that position pretty good, and I think he has really become a more aggressive defensive back, although he is most likely about to make the move to be a full-time wide receiver at the next level. We see him growing as a defensive back at Bruford High School as they will play in the state championship game on Friday night.
If you're just tuning into the show on a Wednesday, we got my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, setting up the stage for next week, the early signing period in recruiting. So, Justin, who are some of the guys that Coach Saban and his staff have been visiting this week as they're trying to get a good portion of these guys to sign early? Who's been visited by Coach Saban and the staff?
The Crimson Tide have been a little bit of everywhere this week, starting off by going to Louisiana, checking in on guys like 4-star athlete Kendrick Law, who the Crimson Tide are looking at along with programs like LSU, of course. They also got an opportunity to catch up with Shaq Preston, the Crimson Tide defensive coordinator. Pete Golding, who is his lead recruiter, got an opportunity to spend some time with him in the earlier part of the week. Nick Saban did get out to the West Coast as well, got an opportunity to hit up guys like Anthony Lucas, the 4-star defensive end out of Arizona. The Money Jackson also got a visit from the Crimson Tide on in the earlier part of this week. The Crimson Tide coaching staff are expected to go to Florida again later this week. I know for a fact that on Thursday they are going to visit Earl Little Jr. and Marvin Jones Jr. again. After visiting both of those guys last week, you had Javelin going to visit Earl Little Jr. You also had Sassen Siri visiting Marvin Jones Jr. So the Crimson Tide coaching staff has been all over the map, including Nick Saban taking a visit to Mobile to check on 4-star linebacker Shemar James out of Faith Academy in Mobile. Of course, he is still considering the Crimson Tide along with Georgia and Florida. I think the Crimson Tide are still really in the mix for him. So the Crimson Tide have been all over the country, including checking out 4-star offensive lineman Ernest Green in this 2022 recruiting class, a guy who I think Alabama fans need to pay close attention to, with Alabama wanting to add another offensive lineman to this 2022 recruiting class. So the Crimson Tide coaching staff is going to continue to hit the recruiting trail throughout the rest of this week. We'll get some guys on campus this weekend for official visits, and hopefully they can end this first national signing day of the early signing period on a good note.
So, Justin, who are some guys, or the number of guys that the Crimson Tide looks to have signed by next week? Who are some guys they want to see signed next week? And then the number of the guys that they're trying to get the national letter of intent on for next week?
Yeah, I think it's hard to put a number on it for several different reasons. I think this is one of the more interesting recruiting cycles because just looking back on previous recruiting cycles, there has not been times where we have so many big-name guys who have not committed to any school. So it's hard to put a number on it. Also, looking at Alabama's 2022 recruiting class, it may be a couple of guys who fall off. It may be a couple of guys who flip to other schools on national signing day. I think that's another development that we are watching closely when it comes to the Crimson Tide 2022 recruiting class. So it is a bit hard to put a number on it, but I will say this: the Crimson Tide and Nick Saban have learned from their past mistakes on the recruiting trail with these two signing periods. They are going to try to get majority of their 2022 recruiting class signed during the early signing period. So I know for a fact that they will have majority of their class signed after December 15th. I don't know the particular number, and I can't say for a fact that certain guys will sign, but I think majority of this class will be basically in the bank after December 15th.
He is Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, setting the stage here on Wednesday via In My Own Words for the early signing period in recruiting next week. If you haven't done so, you got to check out his show, The Process, every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Touchdown Alabama Magazine YouTube channel. Justin breaks down every recruit, every scout, analyzes the tape, analyzes the data, breaks it all down, and lets you know who should you be on the lookout for the most as a fan if you crave recruiting information. Justin, as always, man, we appreciate you coming on, spending some time with us, my brother. Be safe. Take care of yourself, man.
You do the same, dude.
It's always awesome getting a chance to speak with my man Justin Smith on all things recruiting for Alabama football. We take a break here on the show, people. Don't touch that down. When we get back, we return to you. Your phone calls, your thoughts, your interactions, your conversations. We get it popping right now with you guys after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit weownthefourthquarter.com now to get your four-finger bling necklace.
This is Chris Rogers, 2009 national champion. You are listening to the baddest, when I say the baddest, sports show in the state of Alabama. In My Own Words, you know, yours truly, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Don't touch that dial.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Look at all these great players in Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Man, wait till I turn up this year. I'm gonna be on the front cover. But what if Will goes off? Or Joe, DeMarco, Chris, Tim, Christian.
Don't wait. Order now at touchdownalabama.com or call 833-483-2624 today.
Christian,
right, people, we're back in from the break with number one show for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate you guys checking us out on today. Got a shout out to big homie Cliff Reese with that $5 donation. Cliff Reese helping us out here on the show, making this his show, his network, his platform, his space to talk Crimson Tide football. And we go to the phone lines right now to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Ridge Gang. This is your time, fans. 205-448-1358. Number to call in to let your voice be heard, your opinions be made known. 205-448-1358. We grab a call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name, where you calling from. Live on the show, caller. We lost that caller there. We go to this call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on? State your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, Steven, this is Coach Will from Hoover High School.
Coach Will, what's going on, man?
Well, a couple of things I wanted to talk about. This game between Alabama and Cincinnati, I mean, I am so excited for this game, because I know that the Crimson Tide is going to pull through. They got a tough defense ahead of them. Cincinnati's no joke. Their defense is really good. But I feel like we give the ball to Jamison Williams, give the ball to Ja'Cory Brooks, let B-Rob run the ball up, get our O-line to protect. I think we're going to have a good job. But I'm still waiting for that game. I know everybody wants Bama to face Michigan with John Harbaugh in the championship game, but I still would love to see another Bama-Georgia game in the championship game. But my question is, really, with this game coming up, do you think that Jahlil Billingsley will see some of the tight ends, Billingsley, Major, Tennyson, Cameron Latuber step up in this game against Cincinnati?
I like the tight end position in this game, Coach Will, because I feel like Alabama has got to reaffirm of a tight end position in the offense. Now, I understand there's been some drop passes from Jahlil Billingsley, drop passes from Cameron Latu, but you still have to establish those guys. You still have to go to those guys and show them that you believe in them, especially where Jahlil Billingsley is concerned. So I do want to see that tight end position established in the playoffs. Appreciate my man, Coach Will, there of Hoover, for that call. Got to shout out Crimson Glory right now with that $4.99 in the Super Chats. Appreciate Crimson Glory showing the love and support here on the show. It's John got the horn going right there. When we go to this call here, you're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Steven.
What's happening?
This is Mike from Tennessee.
Mike, what's going on, man?
Yeah, I was wondering, does anybody know if Agiye Hall is going to get to play against Cincinnati? You know, nobody seems to know if he's playing Hall.
Agiye Hall is on the roster. I mean, he's on the roster. He's on the team. He's gotten a little bit of time in this season. For me, it comes down to when Alabama gets back to practicing for Cincinnati, which I believe will be next week. How does Hall look in practice? Because he would be also at that X position that Metchie plays. So how does Hall look in practice? How does Hall look in terms of, going through drills, going through different looks, going through different formations? He's got to be ready when his number's called upon. He's got to be ready when that opportunity presents itself. So he's on the roster. He's on the team. He's there. In terms of him playing, though, it comes down to what does he do? How does he perform in practice when Alabama returns to practice? We appreciate that call there to the show. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's up, Stephen? This is Jamore from Montgomery.
What's going on, brother? How you feeling right now?
Feeling pretty good. We got the Heisman this week coming up for Bryce. It shouldn't have any problem with that one. I feel like it's a travesty that Will Anderson isn't going to New York with him, Stephen.
I know, man. I know it hurts, and for me, and I respect Will for the character that he is, the young man that he is, not letting this bother him. I get it, but it's the principle of the matter. People like to say, well, Bama fans, why y'all complaining? Bryce Young is in New York. He going to win the Heisman. Why y'all complaining? That's not the thing. The principle is people that get invited to New York for this, it's about the best of the best. If you are the best of the best, you should be invited to New York. Point blank, period, self-explanatory. The fact that you chose a defensive player who does not have the numbers of Will, the status of Will Anderson, the impact of Will Anderson, and you know he doesn't have those things, and you still put him over Will Anderson, that is what's making the Alabama Nation blood boil right now, because you know what you did.
Right. How do you feel about how our secondary and our linebacking core has improved over the last couple of weeks?
I feel good with this group. I feel like the secondary has gotten better. I feel like the secondary has communicated more. And you can see this with the play of DeMarco Helms, Jordan Battle, Brian Branch has stepped up and played great ball. So the communication in the secondary has been crisp. The linebacker play has gotten better. We saw in the SEC title game, Christian Harris took on a block, ran down there, knocked Zamir White's lights out. He has gotten better at that spot, filling in gaps. Henry To'o, 100 tackles this year at the linebacker position. He's gotten better as the season has gone on. So I've seen improvement. Appreciate my man from Montgomery calling in, but I've seen improvement from this defense, especially the linebackers in the back end. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? State your name, where you're calling from.
Yeah, this is Randy Nelson from Hatchetchubby, Alabama. That's HATCHECHUBBEE.
What's going on, my man?
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of the shows here lately, and I've also been listening to what Nick Saban had to say, and I just want to be, upfront and honest. He's been talking about the fans and how, what'd he say, we were self-entitled or self-absorbed or whatever the term he said, and I just want to go ahead and just put it out there. I don't think he's giving us enough credit for what just happened this past week. I'm just going to be honest. We as the fans, we deserve a lot of credit. I mean, I've been critical all year. And sometimes these spoiled athletes, these spoiled coaches, and I know he's the GOAT. I know that. All right? But give me some credit, too. Seriously.
I agree. I understand that. And this is what a lot of fans have talked about. It's when Coach Saban came in 2007, and I've said this multiple times, he looked at the fans, he looked at you guys and said, we're going to give you a product that you can be proud of. And you as fans for 15 years have held on to that statement of, Coach, I like this product, but when you don't like something, Coach, I'm not feeling this product. I'm not feeling this product right here. This has to be cleaned up. This has to be fixed. So I agree. You as the fans, y'all breathe the passion for the program. Y'all breathe the excitement. Y'all breathe the energy, because if there's no excitement, if there's no fans, then, how good is the program? If there's nobody really cheering, if there's nobody really pumping it up and really immersed in it, how excited is the program really? So I get it.
Right. All I'm saying is, me specifically, because I know what I do, I need some credit for this win, this season.
Well, I will be sure, my man Randy, to get that to Coach Saban for you. I'll be sure to do that. Randy calling in there, giving his thoughts on the show. We got Gucci Todd with that $10 donation helping us out here on the show. Gucci Todd, that $10 donation right here. So, appreciate you guys calling in, checking us out here on the show and on the network. We're going to go to a quick topic here, and this one's on the wide receiver for Alabama, the true freshman, Agiye Hall out of Florida. A lot of people have been talking about why is he not playing? Why is he not on the field more? What's going on with Hall? We saw him in the spring game, 6'3", 195, big body, big catch radius, 4 catches for 72 yards. He impressed everybody that was at Bryant-Denny for the spring game, and we have not seen him on the field at all season consistently or substantially. What's been going on? So from what I know, Hall is still on the team. He hasn't left. He hasn't gone anywhere. He hasn't evaporated or bounced elsewhere. He is still at the program. He is still at the University of Alabama. Now, for me, I think the big thing for Hall in terms of the playoff is when it comes down to practice, how does he practice, right? How does he go about practicing on the field, doing what he needs to do in practice in the next week here to show the staff, I deserve to be on the field. Put me on the field. Metchie's down. Metchie's hurt, but I can make plays. Put me out here. I can make plays. Let me show you what I can do. I can make plays. Give me an opportunity to really prove myself as a 5-star wide receiver. So for Hall, it comes down to how does he practice when the team gets back on the field. It comes down to how has he been doing in terms of his classwork. Coach Saban has talked about it, getting them grades in order, getting that classwork in order. How has he been in terms of that? How has he been, off of the field? Has he been a team player off the field? Has he been that guy that has solely bought into, or not really bought into, but has he been the guy that understands what is going to be required of him, what is required of him when you discuss being a player for the Crimson Tide, being a student athlete for this program? He's on the roster. He hasn't gone anywhere. He's remained with the Crimson Tide, but this next week, before the players go home for Christmas break, as they take that field, going through different drills, going through different formations, going out there practicing, what type of mentality does Hall bring out there on the practice field? If he brings that mentality that he knows he's capable of bringing and that you as the fans see he's capable of bringing, then we can see 84 get some good opportunity, some strong reps, some substantial play here on the field. But it all comes down to his mindset. How much does he want it? How bad does he want it? And what is he willing to do in those practices to prove to Coach Saban, to prove to Holloman Wiggins, the wide receivers coach, everybody out there, put me on the field. I am ready. That's going to be the big thing they're moving for Agiye Hall at wide receiver. But we take a break right now, folks, on the show. We got Jimmy Clay, actually, with that $30 donation. Jimmy, the bad man hustling Clay, helping us out here, showing love on the show. Appreciate that love coming from Jimmy Clay. Now we take our break here on the show. When we get back, we will tidy up some loose ends in discussing the receivers and the receiving options stepping up. Even though John Metchie out, and it hurts, I think Bama's got the next men up to continue this push here for a championship. We'll talk about it after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, people, we appreciate you guys back in from the break. Number one forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Thanks to all of you writing in, chatting in, donating in, calling in, making this your network, your platform, your area, your space to discuss Crimson Tide football. And before we get into the final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. So for all of you fans still overjoyed with the Crimson Tide's national championship in the 2020 campaign, we want you to check out our championship collection merch. This means you grab you an 18 of them things, folk, hoodie, t-shirt, or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs that feature all 18 championship years on the back. You head over to TDAwear.com. Do it right now. TDAwear.com. You go up a championship collection merch tab, and you get you that gear today, showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at TDA. But like I mentioned earlier in the show, there have been so many people contacting me about Stephen with John Metchie down, how bad this has hurt the Crimson Tide. Like, he's down, he's not going to be able to play, he's going to miss the playoff. Can Alabama still win without number 8, the Canadian wonder, John Metchie, on the field? We know how much he means to this offense, how much he means to Bryce Young, how much he means to that wide receiver room. Can Alabama get this done without the originator of the crane kick here? And while Metchie's a big deal, and I've said this before, team leader, 96 receptions this season, a 1,000-yard guy, 8 touchdown catches this year, 4 100-yard games. We know what Metchie brings her to the platform and to the wide receiver room. But even with him down and not being in for the playoff, Bama's got a lot of these guys that are next man up that are ready to perform. I've said this numerous times. Coach Saban always gets a stud at several positions. When you look at running back, wide receiver, DB, linebacker, now quarterback, of course. But wide receiver is one of those positions Coach Saban always gets a group of studs at that spot. And to cushion the blow from the loss of Metchie here, 2 guys to directly look at are Trayshawn Holden and Ja'Cory Brooks. These 2 will be direct guys that can step up, take over, make plays, emerge, and be big-time factors. Jamison Williams spoke on Tuesday about how he likes both guys. He likes the skill set that Holden and Brooks have. He talked about how both guys have shown flashes. Both guys do similar things to what Metchie does. He sees no drop-off from Metchie to these 2 guys right here. He is excited to see both of these 2 have an opportunity to step up, emerge, and make big plays on the field. And the same thing comes from one Bryce Young. He's excited about what Trayshawn Holden can provide. He's excited about what Ja'Cory Brooks can provide. So the players on this team, they know what Holden and Brooks can do. Holden, we go back to the Mississippi State game. He had 3 catches for 70 yards, including a 29-yard touchdown. He's got experience. We know what he can do on the field. Ja'Cory Brooks, yes, he's got 5 catches for 79 yards and 1 touchdown, but you go back to the Iron Bowl matchup against Auburn. 2 of his catches, his 2 big catches came on that final drive to tie the game and send the game into overtime. It's either Brooks makes this catch or Auburn wins the game. Brooks makes this catch or the Tigers win the Iron Bowl. Brooks makes this catch or Nick Saban loses a 3rd straight matchup at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Ja'Cory Brooks understands when the moment is big, when the moment is bright, when the moment is marquee, 7 wants the football. 7's going after the football. It reminds me of Devontae Smith from his freshman year. When the moment got big, 6 got the football. So I think both of these 2 directly are going to step up, are going to emerge, and will cushion that blow left behind by the injury to John Metchie. But not just those 2. Slade Bolden, as much as we like to crack jokes on Slade Bolden, he steps up. When you need Slade steps up. Going back to the SEC title game, 5 catches for 54 yards. Slade played big. Slade made some big plays. Slade was key in some critical moments. So you look at Slade Bolden, we got to joke about whether speed's not always there. The explosiveness is not there, with Slade. But when you need a big catch, at the most critical moments at times in football games, 18 finds a way to catch the football. So keep your eyes on Slade Bolden. He's going to have more responsibility now on his end with Metchie down. And then you look at the tight end room for a minute here. This has to be the moment where you reestablish Jaleel Billingsley and Cameron Latou, but in particular here, Jaleel Billingsley. I know earlier in the season, Billingsley and the coaching staff were butting heads. Billingsley, some off-field issues, and Saban had to talk to him there on the sideline in the season opener against Miami. But we're past that now. He's past that now. His relationship with Saban, it's good. It's clean. It's square. I understand, Billingsley's had some drops this year, but he's showing he's a team player. He's throwing big blocks, springing Jamison Williams for touchdowns, John Metchie for touchdowns, springing running backs for scores. When he does not have the ball, Jaleel Billingsley is being engaged. He's looking for somebody to block, looking for somebody he can take their head off so he can get his teammates up and down the field for big plays. And when you're doing things like that, Coach Saban finds a way to award you. He finds a way to honor you. He finds a way to reward you with that type of play on the field. So I think moving forward here, if you're Bill O'Brien as offensive coordinator, you got to find a way to reestablish, reaffirm Jaleel Billingsley as somebody that you believe in, you trust. You're like, hey, we know we haven't gone to you. We know we haven't went to you lately. We haven't forgot about you, bruh. We know you the man. We know you good. We know you're due. We know you're big time. We are going to reaffirm you as a guy that we trust out here on the field to make these big plays here offensively. Because when you look at the playoff here, everybody on your offense has to be a threat when they get the football. Everybody's got to be a threat. When you play Cincinnati, everybody's got to be a threat. Whoever you face in the national championship, provided you get past Cincinnati, whether that's Michigan, whether that's Georgia, everybody offensively for the Tide has to be a threat. So, Jaleel Billingsley, he has gotten better in terms of his attitude, in terms of his energy, in terms of his motivation on the field. I think it's more than time. I think it's been time for the offensive staff to get back to reestablishing him, reaffirming him as a big-time key within this offense. And then, of course, you've got other receivers that you can look at here in discussing Javon Baker, JoJo Earl, Thaiu Jones-Bell, Agiye Hall. Bama's got weapons. Christian Leary. Bama's got weapons. Bama's got weapons. Bama's got playmakers. So this is not the time to hit the panic button. Any of these guys in the college football playoff, when their number is called upon, can step up here and make plays. It all trickles back to when Bama gets back on the practice field next week, what is the mindset of a lot of these guys? Will they have that mentality of Metchie's down, but coach, call my number, I'm ready. Call my number, put me in the frying pan, I'm ready to pop. Call my number, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready right now to get on this field, make some plays, create some big-time moments for a program that's trying to go back-to-back national champions since the 2011-2012 season. So Bama's got depth at wide receiver. It's who wants it. Bama's got depth at that position. It's who's ready to make a name for themselves and making a big name for the team that's trying to win a national title. So it hurts not to have Metchie for the playoff, but you got Brooks, you got Holden, you got Bolden, you got Billingsley, you got Latou, and you got everybody else. It's hey, diddle, diddle, the cat and the fiddle and the cow, then jumped over the moon. You got everybody that you need there on that roster, on that depth chart. Time to see that in action. Was not trying to go nursery rhyme there, but I guess it felt right in my head. As always, Tide Nation, you want the best in news, notes, information, and material on your favorite program. You can do this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. For your audio needs, so check us out. We got you iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. We got you covered. As always, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. Also, if you're trying to get that fresh edition, print edition of TDA the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com. You click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link in the description too. Gotta shout out my man Tobias Brookins from Fresno with that $50 donation in the Super Chats. That daily Super Chat goal of $75 has been met thanks to you, the outstanding fans, family, Blue Wrench gang of Alabama football here on In My Own Words, Touchdown Alabama magazine. If you're also trying to get that four-finger bling necklace, four-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com, that link in the description as well. But until next time, people, husbands, love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, you continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, legitimate thing. To not be bored, you grab you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself, you protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, people, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith, and as always, you've been listening to In My Own Words.